Hey, I got a Glock and Ferrari. Hey, 17 shots, no 38. I'm like, yeah, she fine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walk past, I press rewind to see that ass one more time. And I got this sewed up. For me boys, they know us. All fast money, no slow bucks. No one can control us. Hey,
Yeah, baby. Oh,
yeah. I feel like that was like the
I'm not gonna.
first
I'm not gonna
beginning
lie.
entry point of auto tune.
I was very, very impressed by that. That was a good one.
You like
I
it?
hit like
Yeah.
a yeah. Baby.
Yeah.
Peter, what's new with you, brother? How's everything been?
Things are going good, man. This week is actually a kind of a shitty weather situation down here in Florida. The first week in a very long time where it's windy as hell and also rainy as hell. But other than that, things are slowly cranking along. I was just chatting with Andy before. One of the things that we're running into now is really just consistently hiring from both like a SDR end side of things and then also PT side of things as well too. But good
Yeah.
problems to have. So just kind of slowly navigating that throughout this week.
To give you an idea of what it's like to do, because obviously Peter and I run our own practices, and Christy helps me. Peter's a solo shop, right? So fucking Peter's really running that shit. Christy takes all the back end. I'm on the front end. Obviously, got Moment Education, and we all three of us do GGC. So it's like there's always fucking ideas. I'm literally biking to Williamsburg from Midtown, and I am like, and it was a packed day on Thursday. Just saw some sessions, group calls to GGC, one-on-one coach calls for some other stuff, and I'm like, I call Peter. I'm like, yo, dog, we gotta change some shit up. We got so everything is fucking growing right now, and I'm like, we gotta keep showing up. We gotta update our systems, and we spent like 30 minutes. Peter was on a zone 2 run. I'm on the freaking city bike in traffic, and I'm like, yo, dog, what you want to hit that? What's this? What do you think we should work on? It's just like it's chaos, but it was also kind of fun to do that because it's just like, all right, we're just gonna catch up real quick in between podcast episodes. But dude, both our
Yeah.
practices are growing, GGC is growing, and I'm just like, all right, let's. I don't want to say solve problems before they even come up, but I'm like, I already see how we can make things better week over week. So I'm like, let's fucking hammer some stuff.
Yeah. A lot of guys all think that, hey, we have our shit figured out. But in reality, it's like when you grow to a certain extent, there's more problems, more bottlenecks that you have to kind of figure out. And so for us, yeah, it's like, we understand a lot of things that, maybe occur at the 10K, 50K, even 100K per month level. But from there, it's like, hey, when you have to look to kind of continue to retain on staff and how do you get staff to kind of stay on very long term to multiple locations becomes fun to kind of actually talk things out loud. But yeah, it's hopefully you guys don't get the perception that it gets easier as you get larger. You just become like more tolerant to
Yeah.
a lot of the bullshit that kind of comes your way. I don't know if the right term is like you become a little bit more numb to it, if you will. But it's just, yeah, you kind of just take things in stride and, just understand, hey, it's just part of the process.
Yeah, we've kind of have like, for us, like where our businesses are at, we're very dialed in with a one location, like
Yeah.
one location, 7 figures. That's completely figured out. Like it's a very solid, tried and true blueprint. Now scaling to multiple locations and having, kind of partners within what you do. That's really the next bottleneck because when you essentially duplicate or clone a location, you need someone that really is boots to the ground there
Yep.
and really believes in the mission and feels like everyone's operating towards the same goal. So we spent like, well, like 15 minutes talking about how to improve GGC and another 15 minutes talking about compensation plans.
Yep. Yeah, there's always because I think a lot of times, like a lot of the plans that we had initially, maybe like 2, 3 years ago for our first batch of PTs, it's constantly changing. There's more and more offers coming out, more different options for different PTs as well too. I think one of my PTs that I was just chatting with, she's looking at like a completely remote option for managing other PTs, where she just all she has to do is kind of just like stay online, and she's getting paid, I think, like 110 K per year for it. And so I'm like, how do you compete against something like that? And so A lot of times it really just comes down to, hey, how can we continue to come up with more and more creative options for people to kind of continue to want to stay with you as you continue to grow the brand, continue to grow the mission, etc.
Yeah. And real quick, man, like, man, we are making GGC better and it's already pumping out some crazy results. I got to give a quick shout out to my guy Alex because he said Wynn's channel is active right now. He had it in capital active. I love to see it. Haha. Made some changes in the sales process, Andy, after Andy's call, and your boy hit a back-to-back PR month at 35.5K for March. 7 out of 9 closes for meta ad evals, 5 out of 7 for warm leads. ROAS at 5x. Your boy didn't convert a single meta eval in January. Now seeing a 78% close rate at new prices is a huge mindset shift that I need to level up my sales skills to help more people. Don't worry, Peter, I'll raise prices for net new again. And I want to just, we updated the sales process twice in the past year.
Yeah.
Your business coach is still using the same exact one they taught pre-2020. This is what it's like when you work with people in the trenches. Got to give a shout out to my boy Alex, but and I see Wynn's channel is active. Like I just said this.
That's gonna be the new quote. We active.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Wynn's channel is popping off, and it's so exciting to see because I know a lot of times people are kind of doing their like quarterly recaps and stuff, and I think a lot of times like we're always answering their questions and like trying to solve whatever bottleneck that they're currently dealing with. But it's really cool to be able to kind of like zoom out. I think the quarter is a really great opportunity, even on a monthly standpoint as well too, for people to kind of zoom out and look at how far they've come, even compared to the fourth quarter of last year. And sometimes people are even comparing, hey, what they were doing all of 2025 in Q1. So don't forget to zoom out sometimes and look at things, guys.
Yo, again, another one. This one is crazy. Nicole.
Yeah.
First quarter came out swinging 31.6K, February 18.6, March 21.3, total 71.5 in one quarter. She's on track to obliterate her yearly goal this year, which was to get 200K. She's probably going to be hitting closer to 300. She said, for reference, 2025 Q1 was 13.1. For 3 months, she generated 13.1. She joined us in Q4 last year. And she's legitimately almost 5x, over 5x her Q1.
And I think, one of the cool things is like, what did she say? Biz is fun when you have a community like this to push you and show you what's possible. Appreciate you, GGC fam. Let's freaking cook. And I freaking love that because at the end of the day, business should be fun. Like there's a lot of like shit that goes on in business that is not fun and makes you kind of feel like you want to quit sometimes. But being around other like-minded individuals, all kind of pushing for the same thing, kind of showing you, hey, like this is really realistically what is possible. It just makes it a lot better.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to shout out, Peter?
Let me see. Dude, I shout my guy Manny, man. Q1 crazy start to the year. Hired a VA. She got into the flow of things. Doubled revenue this year in Q1 compared to 2025. Saw the most amount of visits I had ever since starting the business. ROAS 4.5x. Ads continue to bring in a steady flow. Let's keep getting after it, fam.
Phil, one of our Phil's been with us since the summer.
Phil, yeah.
Out of nowhere, dude. Ended up coming up another 5K after posting my win last week, which closed that month in 26K. The man just 2.5x his last PR. So incredibly overwhelmed in the best way possible by this month. Truly feel like anything is possible. So thankful for this community. #law. We always win, baby. You know the vibes.
You know the vibes. Let me see. I'm gonna give a shout out to Erin. Congrats to her. I think her and Elliot just found out they're pregnant in January. And so I know she's been kind of going through some stuff with that. But yeah, like last 2 months, February and March have been best months. I think February came in at 85K for her and then 91K in March. Dude, all these people hitting PRs and pumping out babies, man. I think it was, who's the other guy? Chris, right? Chris Fidel. Yeah, same thing a couple months ago. He just had a baby and hit a massive PR month.
Got to give a quick shout out to my boy Nevin. Nevin's been a part of a handful of groups before, never been able to kind of make it work for what he's wanted. PR month 23.7. Here's the kicker: worked 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Highest quarter ever in the biz by over 10K. Ads were popping. 15.6 ROAS. We're going to increase it once we get him a PT. Don't worry. I know you guys like, 15.6, it's so high, you should spend more. Yeah, I know, we're gonna help him hire. To think back in Jan, I was freaking out, wondering if I wanted to keep doing this shit. Literally, had an awesome call with Andy, tons of feedback with Peter in the DMs. Still tons of room to improve, but starting off the month in April already with 6.7 collected in 1 week, 7 eval scheduled, lifestyle business crushing, getting more organized. Now I just want to iterate and get better at this. I settle into full work, but my guy's working 3 times a week right now, 3 days a week, fucking crushing it.
I think a lot of times, yeah, it's you when you have business to a certain extent, you have the optionality to either continue to grow or kind of in Nevin's case, right? Like turn it more into like a lifestyle business. But the thing is, like, you have to get it to a certain point in order to have those options, right? Whereas, like, if you're still stuck doing 5K, 10K, it's like, bro, you don't have the optionality to kind of pick and choose, So get yourself to a point where you have things on control, and then from there you can kind of determine and dictate, hey, based on the stage of life that you're at, whether or not we want to continue to keep this lifestyle, and it's totally okay to, like, I think Nevin's plan is to keep the lifestyle for about a year or so and then continue to grow, right? But you have the optionality when you have like lead flow consistent, when you have sales consistent, as well too.
Yeah. Big shout outs to our boy Andy. The guy's just fucking swinging. What is it called? Rolling with the punches. Yep. He signed a lease with somebody, ended up making like 10x what the person that he was signing a lease from was making. He was paying that guy's rent for him so that he can keep his business afloat. Now he's opening up his own place. This is all in the span of less than what, Peter?
Less than 6 months, I think.
6 months? Yeah. Just like insane.
I mean, dude, I think like Andy, yeah, let's talk about like the definition of, hey, like, what's possible when you kind of go all in, right? Like at the beginning of, what was it, like August or September when you first joined, the dude like was still working part-time home health, was doing what, like 2 to 4K per month. And then fast forward now, consistent 20, 30K per month. And then now he's about to sign a lease for his new space in the span of six months. And to kind of give you guys some context, like the time frame it took me to do that, sign a lease, bring on and get to 20, 30K was probably a whole year and a half. Honestly, almost probably closer to 2 years if I'm being realistic, So when you kind of have the right game plan and you understand what to do and you execute ruthlessly, like that gives you guys a really good example of like what is possible. I think a lot of times, like, we just kind of get in our own heads and just like take way too long, overthink things. That was definitely something I did as well too at the very beginning. But hey, this is what's podcast for. Learn from our mistakes so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we've made.
Yeah. Last one, because we've been suffocating you guys with wins, is my boy Mike Shadow, man. Mike's just a fucking awesome guy.
He is.
And he legitimately, Mike, in the group that we're in, he's like, I'm going to keep other people accountable too. Like, he's keeping one other person accountable to make sure that they get their ads up. And he'll message in a group once a week, like, yo, did you set it up yet? Did you set it up yet? Crushed his previous revenue PR by 10K, hit 36K for the month. Could have hit 40K, but had to reschedule 3 evals to the next month because he needed time to move into a new house that he just closed on. So it would have been a 40K month if he didn't have to move houses, but he just put a down payment for a home. And again, my guy, about to pop out a baby, right? It's just unbelievable what you can do. And you guys might be thinking like, oh yeah, sure, these revenue numbers, but they're not like super impressive. These are people that have been operating for a year.
Yeah.
Some of you guys have
sometimes
been
even less than that. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, like, and it's just funny because, like, we have a couple of people get on calls. It's like, oh, we want to see higher revenue numbers. And I'm like, we have people that are at the revenue that you're at currently that it took you 5 years to build in less than a year. Trust me when I tell you that we have absolute killers. But man, we are close to getting the first 100K in GDC. I anticipate someone's cracking it in Q2.
Yeah, I was just messaging back and forth with one of our other members the other day, Caleb, and he was like, let's see, March 77K, January PR month, March PR month. I'm like, hire on one more PT, we're cooking 100K. He's like, I'm hitting in Q2, 1.3 million in 2026. So it's happening, guys. It's happening.
Yeah. Our wins channel is active. It's active.
One of my most favorite things, for sure.
Yeah. It's so cool to see other people, post their success and other people to be like supportive of those things.
Yeah.
And here's the key. When you're handling objections, you think that you have to fight fire with fire. But what you actually do is you got to support others in this big decision that they're about to make. Peter, I had no idea how I was going to make that transition, but I do truly believe that when you're handling objections, you're not fighting fire with fire. They might be hot, they might be steamy, right? But you're water, right? You put out the fire. You, a lot of people in other kind of sales things, they say ABC, always be closing. No, 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 not us. We're ABD, always be diffusing.
Ooh,
Peter,
I'm gonna
how
give it
do
to you,
you
man. Oh, I was gonna say I'm gonna give it to you. That's 9 out of 10, dude. I was gonna, I was gonna come in with like, if you didn't go into that transition, I was gonna come. This is a transition I was gonna go into. I don't think it was as good as the like, hey, like the smooth dance transition you were going to. I was gonna go with all these wins that people had, right? They didn't get it without getting beat up along the way. Kind of similar to a sale, right? Sometimes when it comes to sale, you have a couple different objections that will come up. You need to navigate and fight along the way. But I like the always be diffusing, man. But yeah, when it comes to objection handling, it's kind of like a dance. All right, it's like a lot of times people think, hey, like it's like, hey, punch for punch, tit for tat. But in reality, we're on the same side as them. You know, we're walking them through, hey, like whatever obstacle or hurdle that they're currently perceiving in their mindset to help them get along to the ultimate end goal, which we want them to be able to achieve as well too. But yeah, man, when it comes to objection handling, what's your? I mean, shit, there's so many different ones we can kind of chat about, but what's like kind of the overall framework that you like to take when it comes to ABD, always be diffusing?
always be diffusing. First, it's got to be the pitch, right? So when we actually talk about the pitch, one of the things that we do is we try to price anchor to something. So it's less of like, hey, this is how much it costs. Our first price anchor is typically a higher price that's broken up into 3 months, and this is what it looks like. So for our numbers, for 2 months. So our numbers it's 4,200 for a 3 month plan, which is essentially 12 sessions, and we break it up into 2 monthly payments of 2,100. Now, a lot of our patients like to pay everything in full today, and with paying everything in full, we like to provide a discount, and that would drop the price down from 4,200 to a one-time payment of 3,600. Which one do you think makes the most sense for you? And that's how we present the pitch. The key with presenting the pitch is you just gotta shut up. You just if you say too much, you're selling you're losing everything. You're losing you just literally gotta stay quiet. Peter, what's the longest, curious, that you've had to stay quiet for?
I would say probably at least 45 seconds. And 45 seconds in the midst of it feels like 45 seconds. Yeah. And I know this because I was reviewing, like when we first onboarded our closer, and this was the point that I wanted to make with her. I was like, hey, like after you price drop, you just have to remain quiet. And I pulled up one of my eval recordings from I think it was like last year, where I vividly remember it like felt like eternity. And I counted with her. I was like, hey, how long? One. And we literally counted out. I was like 45 seconds, right? 45 seconds when it comes to, just like being silent. Because a lot of times when you do price drop, people are kind of just processing things. And you don't really need to like defend, hey, well, this is why we're, this price. This is why we can justify X, Y, Z. It's like you don't need to say any of that. You already kind of demonstrated the value of where your price is at the forefront of it with the subjective as well as the actual treatment as well as the explanation. But yeah, really from there, you just price shop and then just be silent, right? Let them kind of marinate and what their overall thoughts are, and then from there, they will bring up whatever thoughts they have on top of their head. And just kind of let them bring it up. You never really want to kind of make any assumptions of like, hey, what they're thinking. Even though a lot of times it is very, very hard to do that, right? But just let them bring it up. I think there's a funny quote I saw the other day where it's like when you're in sales, like the first person to speak will lose. And so when you have two people in sales and one person price drops and you're both staring at each other, waiting for the other person to speak, because the first person to speak will lose. But yeah, one of the things too, before we kind of transition on, I love what Andy just kind of mentioned there earlier about having a little bit of a higher price point with like the installments and then incentivizing the paid in full option. I know that for sure, like when we started doing that probably about 2 years ago, our paid in full percentages like increased tremendously. And a lot of you guys like think, hey, like, I need to provide like a massive discount for that. It's like, no, you don't. All you do is you frame it as like, hey, the paid in full discount is your normal price per session, right? So for, whether it's 3,600 or whatever you choose, like you don't have to discount anymore. That is the paid in full percentage. but it's all about how you frame it, right? And when it comes to the price shop, I like to kind of think of this overall framework. It's like, hey, to work with us over the next insert overall duration to get you back to dream outcome, you can either do a 3-month installment of this or a one-time payment of this. And so you kind of take that because I always like bringing up, all right, hey, like this is how long it's going to take, right? Bring it back up fresh to the mind, as well as to the outcome, dream outcome that they haven't been able to do for so long. And then the two different payment plan prices. Because a lot of times, like the price just comes down to the value. And if you can kind of like reinvigorate in their head, hey, the value of the outcome that they're going to get, whether it's, hey, like running pain free, be able to work out in the gym, get without shoulder pain, be able to play with their kids without back pain. It'll kind of just soften a little bit some of the impact of the price. But yeah, once you price shop, just zip, silent, let them marinate, let them speak, and then whatever comes up first, that will typically be the first obstacle or objection that you'll need to kind of triage and handle with them. And sometimes you may not, if you do everything correctly, screen everything out correctly, there may not even be an objection. It may just be, all right, cool, sounds good, sign me up. Cardinal file good, let's rock and roll.
Beautiful. Love it when it's smooth like that. And yes, it does happen just like that, right? Card and file is good. Now here's just like a gem. And this is definitely important for the people that have scale teams, is when you're scaling your team and you're putting frameworks in place, you want to actually start to name these frameworks something, because it's easier to recall things opposed to just recalling a list. So one framework we created is a 6-frame assessment, and it's the 6 different things that we can sell people on base and be fairly confident we can help people with these things if we can identify these 6 things. When it comes to objection handling, our framework is called DRIPP, DRIPP. It's diffuse the situation, redirect to reestablish trust, isolate the objection, position a solution, and permission to move forward with the sale.
Jeez, dude, that's fire, man. I've never heard about that before. I love it though.
But
DRIPP.
Hey, ChatGPT, baby. I mean, Claude too, right? I'm like, yo, this is just general framework. Can you put these into like a word that makes sense? I'm like,
a sexy acronym.
I got the drip, baby. You got the drip. Are you diffusing?
Are you dripping?
So really quick, diffuse the situation, redirect to establish trust, isolate the objection, position a solution, permission to move forward with the sale. Diffuse the situation is simple, right? It's like you kind of just agree with the person, that you need to agree with the person. And then you redirect to establish trust. Say, hey, finances aside, how do you feel about the program? Do you think that this is something that would actually get you back to XYZ? If it's like, yeah, finances aside, that everything is good, then we know we've isolated the objection. But they bring up something else, then we have to figure out what is that sole objection that they have. Afterwards, it's like, okay, once you can isolate the objection, you can position the solution. If we were able to do X, Y, Z, would you be comfortable moving forward? Yes. Then we've actually have a solution. You're going to present that solution to say, perfect. Does that work for you? Is the card on file okay to move forward with? And then that's how you just asking for permission to move forward. It's like, all right, you don't want to be like, all right, gave you a solution. Let's run the card, right? It's like, perfect. That's definitely something our team can do. If you're ready to move forward, it's a card on file. Okay.
But the main thing that we keep loop back to is they have to understand the value, right? And so before, and what was it? What's the R stand for?
Redirect to establish trust.
Redirect. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So
redirect is very common in the sales world.
So before you go into handling whatever, issue or objection they bring up, redirect it back into, hey, making sure they still feel like the program is valuable and is exactly the thing they need to help them get to their dream outcome. Because it doesn't matter like if the program's like $10, $10,000, $1,000, it doesn't matter what the price is if they don't feel like the value is there and can get them the dream outcome that they're looking for. So they have to make sure, so you always have to make sure, hey, like they understand the process, they feel like the process is exactly what they need, and they can really see themselves, if they go through your mechanism, your process, that they will get the dream outcome at the end. So you just loop back to that first, hey, like finance data, just make sure, hey, you still feel like this program is right for you, you like it, everything makes sense, etc. And then from there, move forward into redirecting into the objection. But yeah, a lot of times you have to isolate the objection. Otherwise, like people will kind of like bounce around from like spouse into price. And so really just kind of lock them into like, hey, just making sure it's this one thing that's really preventing you from moving forward to get back into the dream outcome. They agree. And then from there, now we start dancing.
And here's the thing, right? It's like, you have to remember the script before you learn how to dance. Like in the beginning, you're literally just going to be remembering the script. Afterwards, you can start to just understand where we are in this process. Are we diffusing? Okay, we diffuse. We can move forward. Are we redirecting? They've redirected perfectly. Now let me figure out, is this the only objection? It is. Awesome. Let's position a solution. Does this solution work? Awesome. Let's move forward with the sale now. So Peter, first thing that happens, you give me this pitch. I'm like, it's kind of expensive. What's the first response to that?
When you say expensive compared to what? That's usually kind of what I like to say. It's like, hey, compared to surgery, compared to injections, what are we kind of comparing expensive to? Right. And then from there, it's like whatever answer they respond. All right, cool. Totally understand. And so really, as long as we can figure out the price, right, for you, that makes sense. This is something that you're open to moving forward with. Hopefully they say yes. And then from there, what we like to do is kind of have like an open wallet conversation or open wallet policy, I guess is kind of what I like to kind of refer to it. But it's really what we want to figure out is like, hey, what is our total available kind of like cash on hand to be able to kind of really allocate towards this program. So, hey, availability for credit, availability for checking, savings, etc., to be able to kind of transition into that. A lot of times people will feel really, really weird when it comes to kind of screening this out. All right. So the way you do that is like, hey, so that I can best customize this for you, would you be down to have an open conversation about finances to kind of see if there's something that's even potentially feasible for you? I would say like you'll have a split of people who will say, hey, like, yes, I'm down for that. And then that kind of gives you permission. All right. But you will also have some people say, hey, like, no, I don't want to have that. And then from there, you potentially need to loop back into value to be able to figure out, well, hey, like, are we just making sure this is still something that we want to be able to achieve? If so, like we kind of need to have this next step conversation in order to really be able to kind of transition and move this conversation forward. But I don't know. I think that's one framework. But really, when it comes to expensive, it's like, hey, is it really from a logistical standpoint? It's purely just the price that's preventing them moving forward. So you need to figure out, all right, could we potentially customize the payment plan? Or is it like, hey, it's expensive. I have the money, but I have other things I want to prioritize in order for me to, before, prioritizing this and kind of choosing to spend money on this.
And expensive, sometimes that could potentially be a smokescreen for, I don't know if this is really going to work. There's still like trust. Sometimes there is a smokescreen for like, I just don't want to commit now, right? For like a lack of urgency. And ideally you've done the reason why we have 3 episodes leading up to this is like, if you've taken care of those things, it usually is down to spouse or finances as the most common objections that you're going to get.
I would say like, yeah, I mean, like when it comes to expensive, and you can always just like agree with them. It's like, yeah, it is expensive, but I would say it's definitely something that's worth it. Would you agree? Right? And then from there, it's like, yeah, it is expensive. I think it's worth it, but I need to go check my finances, right? All right, cool. So now we need to kind of roll into that, or it's like, oh, it's expensive. This is something I got to chat with my wife about. And so it's like expensive is really just, hey, like they're acknowledging, hey, it is a little bit more than what they expected, which is totally fine. Some people acknowledge it and then they decide to move forward. But then from there, yeah, it's really just kind of understanding, all right, what's the main thing that's kind of preventing them, aside from just like acknowledging that it's expensive? Because like shit, there's a ton of things that's expensive out there these days, but people still buy it. Some people purely buy it because of the fact that it is expensive.
Yeah. And there's also like, it's just the vocabulary, right? Like when someone says it's expensive, you shouldn't say it's definitely expensive, right? And agree with them that way. You should just say it's definitely an investment. Like, and it's a subtle change because when you say it's expensive, things are expensive when you don't get the value of what you pay. Things are an investment when you get the value and then some of what you pay. So it's like, it's definitely an investment, right? Like without a doubt. So I don't want you to feel like this is the first time that we've had someone that's a little bit sticker shocked. When you say that, it puts the person's shoulder down. It's like, oh, okay, he's not judging me. And you want the environment to feel safe because people are not going to make buying decisions when they feel like they're in danger. So it's like, it's definitely an investment and you're definitely not the first person that felt sticker shock. I'm curious though, like finances aside, like how do you feel about this? Like, do you genuinely feel like this is different than the physical therapy you had in the past? Do you feel like this is a natural solution for you? Because I don't even want to try to figure out how to make it work if you don't believe like it's something that's going to help you move the needle. That allows them to sell themselves again. It's a redirect to like, okay, this was awesome. This was an amazing session. I totally think that this can work. Because then you can be like, listen, it is an investment, right? and it's so different from what you're going to get in different physical therapy clinics. Uh, Even if you decide to pursue something like surgery, you're going to have to do something like this. You're not going to be able to rehab at a more traditional clinic. Now, if we can make it work financially, would you be comfortable moving forward? And that just sets it up. Because if they say yes, then we just have to figure out what that looks like.
Then we have for permission to kind of open wallet conversation and then triage and go from there. A lot of times people will say, hey, like the let me check my budget, or let me go chat with my partner to kind of go over finance. We have a lot of things kind of coming up. These are, I think, more so kind of, or even like, hey, let me check my out of network insurance benefits first before kind of deciding and seeing. Those are a lot of times really just kind of delays. And so after you kind of acknowledge and kind of like help them move forward with it, I always like to kind of like fast forward it to be able to figure out, all right, like, hey, let's fast forward it. Worst case scenario, what do we kind of do then? So like, for example, and you can kind of apply this framework to just about anything. So it's like, hey, all right, totally understand. Let's say you go back, check your budget, check your finances. If it is within kind of budget, awesome, we'll move forward. Just curious, let's say you go back and kind of check your budget and say it's unfortunately not within budget. What would we do then? Like, are we still going to be able to kind of figure something out, or like what's the plan? So when the same thing when it comes to spouse, right? It's like, hey, when you go chat with spouse, let's say super supportive, awesome, let's move forward. I guess if they were to say no, like, what would you do then? Insurance. Hey, I want to go check my insurance first before. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. If they are within, they're able to cover some, awesome. But I guess if they're not able to cover it, or let's say, hey, you check your HSA and there isn't enough in your HSA, is this still something that's valuable enough for you to actually like want to move forward so we can finally get you back to XYZ? Because it just fast forwards to the points like, hey, let's play out worst case scenario. If worst case scenario is still something that we will still move forward with, then we might as well just move forward with it today.
And that's the coaching aspect of it, right? It's like leading someone. One thing that we say as we're positioning a solution, it's like I know you've been dealing with this for a while. Pause, because they're like, yeah, I have. And the last thing I want is for it to continue to get worse. And I get that it's an investment today, without a doubt. But it's only going to be a little bit more expensive down the line as it continues to trend in the direction that it's been trending. Are you comfortable moving forward knowing that like it will get worse? Because all you're doing with these kind of binary questions is you're forcing them to answer in a way that represents the identity that they actually want to have, right? Like, no, like, of course not. Like, who's going to say, yes, I'm comfortable with it continuing to get worse? So binary questions, especially as you're starting to position a solution, it's great because it affects the human psychology. It's, Peter was like, I don't know. I got to think about it. It's like, yeah. Or like, I got to, whatever, like XYZ finances come up. It's like, hey, you seem like someone that's really resourceful, right? Like you're always going to continue to kind of figure out a way to solve this. Peter's gonna be like, yeah. Do you feel like you've had any other kind of interactions that you were kind of gung-ho on? Like, were you happy with other physical therapy clinics and stuff? Like, no. And you're pretty stoked on like what we've been doing today, right? Like you feel like this is actually going to lead you to an outcome. It's like, it makes the most sense because what do you think it's going to happen? Like you're going to continue to search for other solutions when there's a very viable solution now, right? So it just makes sense to move forward.
I don't know if you guys picked this up, but if you guys kind of just like rewind a little bit and listen to Andy's tonality with the pauses, I think it's a really, really great way to kind of like take that and apply, because a lot of times when you're kind of going back and forth, you can almost kind of feel like some of the, maybe potentially some tension rising. And one of the best ways to diffuse that is to really just slow down your overall tonality, add in a couple of pauses in there. And I kid you guys not, like when I go back and listen to some of my like eval recordings, some of our PTC eval recordings, a lot of times when you feel like you're intentionally slowing it down, you could probably slow it down even more 10 times. It just how you perceive it going from a tonality standpoint in your head is so different than how it actually comes across sometimes. But yeah, whenever in doubt, just add in a couple pauses in there, slow it down intentionally. And even if you do know what to say moving forward, like the next line of kind of like the overall framework, you can intentionally stutter. Like you intentionally stutter to kind of let them know, let me see if I can potentially maybe even figure something out, right? Instead of like, oh yeah, let me figure something out for you. But a lot of times it goes really well to kind of help diffuse some of the situation down a little bit.
We're going to be coming straight into more objections in the next episode, but diffuse the situation, reestablish trust is obviously going back to like, should we even continue having this conversation if you don't think this is valuable? Then it's not, right? So you get them to sell themselves. You got to isolate the objection. Can we make this work? And when you're positioning a solution, you have that open kind of wallet talk. You want them to legitimately tell you like, hey, what would you be able to invest from like a weekly perspective and from a monthly perspective that you feel very comfortable with? Because if you can make a solution fit within there, boom, people want to be consistent. And that's the key, right? Like when you isolate the objection and say, yes, this works, then you position a solution around what they say could make it work. There's really no other way but to move forward, because if you do all those things right, you're good to go.
But the only way to get there is if you drip it.
Drip. You're going to take the drip?
You got to drip it. You got to drip it. I think, one of the biggest things, like, you have to isolate it. I think that's one of the things that I've learned tremendously over the years. Like, you can help address one objection, but if you don't isolate it, they will bounce around. All right. And so really make sure, hey, value is there. And then from there, isolate that one thing, and then transition into about handling it. Because at the end, like, you guys got to understand, like, there's only probably about 5 to 10-ish minutes left for you to kind of really go about navigating this. And so you have to kind of just understand the framework well enough to really isolate just one. Otherwise, like, you're going to run out of time.
And all of these frameworks, like, they're nothing special, right? In a sense that like everyone's going to have a different word for stuff. Everyone just might have a different flow of stuff. And you're going to learn certain things. Like, I worked with this guy, Bill Walsh, and, went in some of his products. And like, I learned binary questions from him, right? Yeah. Like a big part of his objection handling is like binary questions. And you make the person pick what kind of person they want to be with those binary questions. Peter, like, who have you been inspired by?
Jeremy Minor was probably one of my very, very first person that I've kind of gone into. Cole Gordon, another really big inspiration as well.
And Jeremy Minor is all about diffusing. It's just diffusing, right? Like, it's just like,
yeah, 100%. So, yeah, go ahead. Yep.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like, you're not gonna get a lot of these people that do the sales. They're selling completely different from physical therapy. Yeah. And the reason why I tell people, or the reason why we're like, you should join GGC to learn sales, is because we've taken all of these courses and flipped the psychology to reflect in-person sales. Because a lot of the sales training that's out there is literally for enterprise software where you're selling to corporations that have over 1,000 people. And that's a long-term play and relationship build. And it's for things like contracts, real estate, and stuff like that. Nothing is actually one-on-one physical therapy specific. Mm-hmm. You have to literally take people's principles, test out it on yourself. And we've been able to test it now with our practices. And we have now tested out with different regions, right? Because like Peter's got his flow and it works really well for his local demographic. I've got mine where New Yorkers are so incredibly skeptical. And we've helped change it for someone that, and giving you a perspective, right? Someone from like Louisiana or Texas with like more Southern values is going to be completely different than this brash ass New York City Northeast kind of vibe, right? Like, you literally have to change the script to fit your ICP.
Correct. Yeah. We actually have a free training on this. So if you guys want it, comment Sales Zaddy. I think that's the trigger word, Sales Zaddy. But I'll kind of leave you guys with this one bit. A lot of sales, aside from kind of like the word tracks, if you will, it really just also comes down to mindset. You have to believe in the product enough, and you have to want to care about the prospect enough as well too. One of the terms you guys maybe have heard us talk about is like, hey, hang in the buying pocket, right? So this is the buying pocket, is what we are kind of referring to when the pocket gets hot. Can you actually hang in there long enough to actually help the prospect get the outcome that they're looking for? And the first time I kind of heard this, like, it really resonated with me, because at the very beginning, my mindset was like, hey, I don't want to like piss anybody off. I don't really want to like do anything. It's going to like, it's like, hey, whatever they say, yeah, nope, not a problem. Go ahead, talk about it, think about it, and then like, let me know. But really, in reality, if you think about it, like, people who care the most, they are willing to sit down, help the prospect walk through whatever, obstacle or framework that they are having difficulty kind of like navigating, overcoming on their own head to help them ultimately get to the end outcome that they want at the end of the day. And so for me, like, I just know our product compared to a lot of the other options out there is tremendously well worth it. And so I have no problem at all selling with the amount of conviction that we currently are selling with, especially, yeah, when there's tons of other things out there that people are getting sold and getting sold into. So you gotta care about the product, care about the person enough to be willing to walk them through whatever limiting beliefs they might have.
Yeah, the return on what people pay for GGC is incredible. Like I remember, like after like the first 6 months of being like another mastermind, I was literally repeating the same exact thing for like 2 years, and I was like, this is like a waste of money. And once you stop learning and growing within a group, you just gotta move on. Like same thing with Peter and I. So Peter did it for like 3 or 4 years, right? One group.
Yeah, I was in the group for about two years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very first one. Yeah.
And there's going to be people that would eventually transition out of ours, but our goal is to keep adding more juice into this, right? We're doing so much on ourselves to build our practices that we're going to continue to make GGC better. And when we do, I know people will stick around. But if people aren't getting better in our group, don't stick around. We're not trying to make you pay for friends.
Uh-huh.
We want you to pay so that you can keep growing your business.
Bang bang.
Bang bang. Peace out, squad. Let's get this money.
Peace.
Peace.